What up? Salvador Bregman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Genius YouTube channel. On this channel, we talk about crowdfunding, how you can raise money for your passion, how you can cash in on your dreams. And specifically today, we'll talk about startups and really how startups can raise money using regulation crowdfunding. And one of the biggest crowdfunding websites out there, one of the biggest crowdfunding portals is WeFunder, WeFunder.com, right? So one of the big things that you need to do in order to do a WeFunder campaign is to really understand the terminology around what's called a lead investor. Okay, so today I want to get into kind of define that a little bit more. What does that mean? Why do you need one? When do you need one? And really demystify a lot of that for you when it comes to the equity crowdfunding process. I hope you enjoy the video today, and we're getting into it in just a second. Okay, man, welcome back again to this channel. And again, my name is Salvador Bregman. I've been in the crowdfunding industry since 2012 with my website, crowdcrux.com. I started this as a blog, and over time it's grown to a podcast, to a YouTube channel, to books, to courses, to coaching, to helping clients as well when it comes to executing some projects for select clients that are out there. So this is really something that I love. I'm just so passionate about. And I think that crowdfunding is such an incredible tool. It really democratizes fundraising. And that's the reason why I love to put out these videos just for people like you. So let's kind of get into this. First of all, with a lead investor, I'm specifically referring to WeFunder, but this is also a terminology that's thrown around a lot in the finance space. So let's kind of talk a tiny bit about this. So first of all, I want to go over, what is this? We're also going to go over, when do you need one or why do you need one? How do you get one? So for those of you out there that want to do a WeFunder campaign, you definitely need to know this information. And then we'll kind of talk more about the process of this lead investor, what they bring on when it comes to the responsibilities in the future. First of all, what the heck is a lead investor? So a lead investor really goes into the way in which WeFunder raises are structured when it comes to regulation crowd. What ends up happening is when you actually raise money doing a regulation crowdfunding campaign on WeFunder.com, they will create what's called a special purpose vehicle. So I'm going to say SPV, but this is basically a special purpose vehicle, okay? Now maybe you have 100 investors, maybe you have 1,000 unaccredited retail investors who end up participating in your campaign. Maybe you raise $100,000, $500,000, $1 million using regulation crowdfunding, doesn't matter. All those investors are basically condensed into what's called a special purpose vehicle, which is an SPV. And that's the way you have one line item on the cap table. So on your cap table, there aren't like thousands of people. There's literally just one line item for the special purpose vehicle. Now, the special purpose vehicle has voting power, right? There's voting power. So the question is, who directs the voting power? And that's really where the lead investor comes into play. So LI, lead investor, SPV, special purpose vehicle. What is a lead investor? Put simply, the lead investor is first of all there to direct the voting power of the people that are participating in your capital raise. So people, when you're raising money, right, you're giving away a percentage of equity if you're doing something like, a crowd safe or something like that. In the future, that's going to convert when there's a price round, right, at a future point in time. The special purpose vehicle has voting power within your organization. The lead investor is tasked with signing off of official corporate decisions and also obviously directing that voting power. So that's the first thing when it comes to what is a lead investor, understanding a little bit of what they do, what's their role, right? Another thing when it comes to the lead investor is kind of understanding why that's the case when it comes to other investors that are out there. So first of all, we said here, right, voting power. The other thing when it comes to lead investor is investing on the same terms as everyone else. So what does that do? Well, first of all, that kind of gives other investors that are out there just a tiny bit more confidence. Think of it this way. You come to a equity crowdfunding campaign on WeFunder.com or regulation crowdfunding campaign, and you decide to invest in that. How do you know if this is actually a good investment? Well, if there is a lead investor who's already invested under those same terms, which you yourself are also going to, chances are this has at least been vetted by someone who understands the company, who is kind of vouching for the company to a degree, and also agrees with the terms that this is actually a good deal. So they're going to be investing on the same terms as all of the other investors when it comes to your regulation crowdfunding offering. So the last one, which I already kind of covered honestly in voting power, is just obviously signing documents, right? So signing docs. So they perform a function which is basically enabling this structure, which is basically having lots and lots of investors, like 1,000 investors being condensed into one line item on the cap table. They enable that to happen through the special purpose vehicle, where they are the ones who then have the voting power. They're the ones who have the responsibility of signing those documents. And as well, when it comes to the investors in the audience, they're the ones who are basically saying, this is a good deal. You guys should check this out. This has been kind of almost independently verified as being a legitimate company to a degree. So why do you need one, right? We talked a little bit about what is a lead investor and sort of the functions that they perform when it comes to doing a regulation crowdfunding raise. Why the heck Do you need one, right? Why do you need one? Well, you actually don't necessarily need one to actually launch the campaign. However, in order to cash out, you do need to have a lead investor. So before you cash out, you have to designate maybe one investor who's participated in the raise as being a lead investor, or you have to have someone that you've already acquired or someone that you've been able to convince to actually become that particular lead investor. So you don't necessarily need one to get started. I do think it's actually best practice because again, it's going to create a lot of trust and comfort for those people that are out there that then see that and like, oh, okay, this guy's legitimate, right? This company is legit, but you don't necessarily need one, but you do need one to cash out. So that's really the reason why you need one at the end of the day. Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillrite is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillrite today. Link in the description. So actually, before I get into, how do you get one? I actually kind of want to quickly just actually get into more of some of the responsibilities. So we did cover them a little bit, but these are things that you should be aware of the lead investor. So really they have to kind of just be willing to almost be scrutinized like a tiny bit. So they have to at least give a text or a video of why they actually chose to invest in your company. They also naturally have to be making decisions that are in the company's best interest as well as the interest of their shareholders. If they're not, the other investors could be working with WeFunder to actually remove or to fire that lead investor because in some way they're not performing in the way that they should, or there's malpractice, or I guess the word is that they're just basically doing something that they shouldn't be doing. So they do have to have good behavior in that way. The other thing I would say when it comes to responsibilities is just making sure that that lead investor is friendly, is agreeable to work with. I would also say that they're intelligent, that they're smart, that they understand what you're doing, they understand your business model, they understand your vision. They do have to explain why it is they decide to become a lead investor for your company. Also just being aware of your vision, like those kind of bread and butter basic things are very important. So you don't want to just pick someone who's random, right? Who doesn't have a very clear understanding of that. And again, this is also something where other investors might be looking to that lead investor, and before they have the ability to get a refund on their investment, at that last moment when you're really gonna, kind of secure this and lock this in, they're gonna be like, okay, does this person make sense, right? Is this going to be someone who I want to direct my voting power? Is this someone that I want to be that lead investor? Is that an intelligent decision? So we talked a little bit about the responsibilities of the lead investor. I think the other important thing to note here is that at the time I'm recording this video, they must invest at least $1,000 in your round on WeFunder.com. And in addition, that lead investor, when they're investing that $1,000, they don't necessarily have to be an accredited investor to become a lead investor for your project. How do you get one, right? So this is a common question that I get with actually a lot of my coaching students. So if you're not familiar, I actually do one-on-one coaching where we do intensive coaching calls for people out there that are looking to raise money using equity crowdfunding or using other forms of crowdfunding, for example, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, many other forms of crowdfunding that are out there. So if you ever want to discuss, does this make sense for you and your company? If you're already serious about this, what is the game plan? What is the strategy? What are the tactics that go into a successful raise and really executing that in a step-by-step fashion, having someone hold your hand through this process? You can always book a one-on-one coaching call with me down below and we can learn more about that. And in addition, I also have a free course out there on equity crowdfunding, which I'll link up down below. Coaching calls though are a great investment and really speed up a lot of time when it comes to this process. So how the heck do you get one, right? I think this is actually very important. So first of all, I'd say the majority of ways in which people get one are typically through professional connections. So professional connections are the majority of the way that most people nowadays, a lot of my students, a lot of people that are running campaigns, a lot of them are getting their lead investor through professional connection. According to WeFunder, there are some types of people which are not enabled to be able to be a lead investor. So these would be officers of the company. These would be employees. These would be people who have a conflict of interest. So if you are an officer of the company, if you're an employee, if you're associated in the way, you have a conflict of interest, unfortunately, you can't be a lead investor. One of the other ones to add to this list would be family members, okay? So if you are a family member, if you are, like I said, officer, employee, if there's a very dramatic conflict of interest in some way, you cannot become a lead investor when it comes to a WeFunder campaign. And I think this is really just to protect most of the other investors that are out there. There could be conflicts of interest. Is there a family involved, or obviously an employee or an officer? So this is really just designed to protect investors that are out there. And in addition, WeFunder themselves and you must agree on who that lead investor is before you actually cash out. And this is a decision that you are making, right? As the CEO, as the founder, as a person who's actually running this campaign, you're making this decision. However, it also has to be in accordance with WeFunder basically agreeing to this, and also the other investors obviously finding that to be a suitable person and them, locking in that investment. So basically, this is kind of all leading up to, you filing your Form C and being able to conduct this raise legally. And that's where, a lot of terminology like the lead investor comes in, particularly when it comes to agreeing with WeFunder on who that individual is before you file your Form C. So that's kind of where this comes in. There isn't necessarily any kind of like rate or pay or anything, any kind of benefits that really come with being the lead investor, other than the fact that you do have that ability to direct voting power, and you are obviously more involved with the company if people are going to be asking you to sign particular documents, right, related to that, or corporate decisions and that kind of thing. So this, first of all, will, I think, clarify a lot when it comes to lead investor, getting into who it is, why you need one, how you get one. A lot of this, again, going back to professional connections, some of the responsibilities here, how much they actually have to invest, why this is something that's critical for anyone out there that does then want to cash out on the amount of money that they raise. Hopefully this brought you more clarity and you have a little bit more of a clearer vision going into the future. I always say that when you understand what's around the next bend, all of a sudden you don't have to be as afraid because you can anticipate the future. And this is something where the more that you understand the process, the more confidence you have going into this race. So you can focus on just getting traffic, getting attention, and really getting investors for this campaign. So if you want to talk about that on a one-on-one basis, you can book an individual coaching call with me down below. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you want more content just like this, and I will see you next time.